Oleg. So I'm Oleg. I've been working at n8n for 2 years now. I'm working in the AI team. Originally I started in Berlin, but right now I'm based in Czechia in my double setup. So I have two workflows that I prepared, and they go like this. So the first one is pretty basic. It's this very simple workflow, and what it does is this. Siri, what's on the picture?
The image appears to be a screenshot of a computer screen displaying a flowchart or diagram, which seems to represent a process or workflow. The specific details are not entirely clear due to the resolution and angle of the photo.
So as you can see, this was not scripted. I'm going to show you on a Prague castle that this is indeed. Hey Siri, what's on the picture?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Hey Siri, what's on the picture? Come on, Siri.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection.
Look, it really works, okay?
Sure.
Sometimes it times out, like when it's thinking for too long of a time, you can see that it's still thinking. Oh, there's two executions running, but let me show you how this actually works. So as you can see, I'm using the Llama chat model. That's also one of the reasons why it's taking so long, because it's running on my local machine. And I'm using the Llama 7B model, which is a multi-model model. Oh yeah. So it supports image input. And I have very simple setup where I have a webhook that accepts the data. It's called /Siri image, to which we will post the image. I convert the image from body.image base64 to an actual image file. And then I'm using this basic LLM chain to pass that image to my model. If we go here, yeah, you see now it finished execution, but unfortunately this Siri times out after 5 seconds or something when it takes it to execute, but it's actually provided the, that's not the right one. Well, this one's still running. Seems like my Llama is down. Okay. Okay, now it's back up. I guarantee this is going to work. Hey Siri, what's on the image?
Finder hasn't added support for that with Siri.
I guarantee now it's going. Hey Siri. Hey Siri, what's on the image?
Finder hasn't added support for that with Siri.
Maybe you shouldn't use Siri, you know? It's not that great anyway. Hey Siri, what's on the image?
Finder hasn't added support for that with Siri.
Hey Siri, what's on the picture? Yeah. Thank you. Hey Siri, what's on the picture?
I'm having some trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Son of a bitch. Did it execute? Oh no, it actually failed. Okay, look, I'm just gonna replace Llama because that's what's taking so long. Well, that's the cool thing about n8n, that you can just freely switch the models very easily. So now I can connect OpenAI chat model, select the credentials. We'll use the GPT-4o mini, and that should be much quicker. Let me just save it. Hey Siri, what's on the picture? I'm not sure I've clicked it right now. Well, let's see.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection.
Hey Siri, what's on the picture? Come on.
What do you want to search for?
Okay, last time. Come on. Hey Siri, what's on the picture?
I'm having some trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
OK. But it returns stuff. You see the image show Prague Castle. It's just not picking it up for some reason. OK, but let me show you how I build it anyway. So as you can see, this is a simple webhook. We pass data to the whatever model is connected. It has to support images. And it's using shortcuts to basically get that image from my desktop to my local instance of n8n. But I could also be using production or self-hosted instance. The shortcut looks like this. So it's called What's on the Picture. After I ask or say this prompt, it will take the interactive screenshot. So that was this thing you saw me selecting the image. We'll convert that area that I've selected to base64, and it will post it to this webhook that I've created. It will wait for the webhook to execute. Here you can see how I passed these as inside JSON. And I add a static prompt, what's on the picture, to let the LLM describe the picture. And then finally, once it gets the output, once it times out, I just extract the text from the output of the webhook and ideally say it. Well, let's try it from here, maybe. So now I just played without saying Siri. See, it's running here now.
I can see images or describe them. If you something specific related to the image, feel free to ask.
OK, then.
It was creepy.
Oh, now it's saying that it can't describe images, but I'm pretty sure it can. Using the right model, we are. Maybe let's tone down temperature a bit. Save it.
Is that your usual voice you work with? Oh,
yeah.
nothing like a soothing AI avatar.
The image shows a code snippet written in TypeScript. It defines an asynchronous function named flowAppRequest, which appears to be part of a larger application, likely.
Yeah, OK, that's correct, actually. So you see it saw the picture. Then it explained in a creepy voice. And we can see here the image show a code snippet written in TypeScript. That's all correct. And that brings me to another workflow I have. But now I have very little confidence that this will work, but maybe it will. So it is called use current file agent. So it's another shortcut. This one is slightly more complicated from the shortcut point of view. But what it does is I say this shortcut, use current file agent. It will ask me what do I want to pass to the agent. And it will also allow me to take a screenshot again, but this time of the whole window. And I do that to get the path of the file that I'm currently working on. There is some AppleScript API that you can use to get that from VS Code, but I wasn't able to get it to work, and ChatGPT neither, so I just fall back to this solution. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that screenshot and I'm extracting using the regex to extract the path to get the path of the file that I'm currently editing. So it's this thing here. Then I will use that and send it to my webhook, Siri file, as a current file with a query. And then I just speak the output. Maybe let's not speak it. COS2. And we can try it now. Oh, maybe let me show you the workflow too. So yeah, here's the workflow. It's using a tools agent. We're just passing the current file that we get from the request from the webhook with a query as a prompt. We're telling it that it's a helpful coding assistant and that the response should be very concise because it's going to be passed through text-to-speech engine, so it doesn't go into tangents about like explaining something in Markdown and so on. These are the two tools that it has access to. So it's a read file. Read file allows it to read the file from my file system. It has one argument, one static argument, that is tool name, and that is so we would be able to have two different tools in the same workflow. And then we're using the specify input schema to tell what parameters this tool expects. So here I'm just using JSON example, but you could also be using like a JSON schema where you could also provide a description for this tool. Let me just refresh to make sure I don't save this with the schema. And we then also have the update file, which is pretty much the same, but now it also accepts new content in the parameter, allowing the LLM to overwrite the file on the path. And the tools are implemented like this. So here I have the execute workflow trigger. I pin some data to have an example, like when I'm developing this workflow, to be able to play with it quickly. So it has these two items, read file, update file with a path, and new content. We have a switch node here to be able to route it to first read the file. So that is pretty simple. We just execute command to cat the file at this path. And the write the file, we convert the text to text file, get it from query new content, put it to data, and then we just write it to disk at the location that was passed to this workflow, and we respond with the success. Let's test it out. What's the name of the shortcut? Use current file agent. Hey Siri, use current file agent.
What's your prompt to pass to agent?
Explain what this file does. So it's asking me to take a screenshot, do that.
The file contains TypeScript code for making API requests to the Flow API, including functions for handling authentication and pagination. What's your prompt to pass to agent?
And now because I have this, stop it please. Because I have this repeat, it's going to ask me 4 times. So theoretically, I would be also able to connect memory to my agent, and then I could ask further questions in the same context. But let's try a different question, asking it to modify this file. So, hey Siri, use current file agent.
Finder hasn't added support for that.
What was that? Current file agent. Siri, use current file agent. Hey Siri, use current file agent.
What's your prompt to pass to agent?
Add detailed comments to this file explaining the functionality of individual methods. So there's a high chance this will time out because now it needs to do 2 tools operation, but after a while we should actually see the comments appearing.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Oh, there you go. Now it added these comments. See, these were not here before, so it documented the function based on the parameters of that function. If I would go back, these were not there. This was there. Okay, so it just added these headers. So these examples, definitely not perfect, but it's showing you a way how you can also use n8n for some local stuff combined with Siri maybe. Although after playing with this for a while, I wouldn't really recommend Siri because its transcript engine is not that good, so it would often mislabel the stuff I would say. So you would have to really make sure that you say it with the precisely correct pronunciation and everything, especially when using, for example, file paths. It's very hard to mess up. Also, the timings is sometimes hard to get because as it goes to, like you should start speaking after it does the sound, but sometimes if you start speaking sooner, it wouldn't pick up part of the sentence and just send you the second half of the sentence. So yeah, this would be the Siri stuff. Any questions? Yeah, go.
Yeah, Oleg, great talk. Firstly, are you making any of this publicly available? Because it would be great to make a copy of the shortcuts and things like that. And secondly, do you think this would work on mobile with Siri as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've gotten it to work on mobile. It's a very simple one, but yeah, proof of concept.
Yeah, you can definitely send requests to webhooks on mobile. The JavaScript automation, not sure if that one would work, but then you probably wouldn't be running the same shortcut on mobile. But you can definitely do most of this stuff and also make it say stuff on mobile. The shortcut I wasn't planning on making available. It's pretty simple, but I can share it somewhere. And now the second part is a new feature we've been working on in the AI team, and that is using nodes as tool. So you see I've done this whole process here where I wanted to have two tools which are very simple, but I need to like add this workflow trigger, add a switch, then route it, and also the passing of these parameters is a bit awkward. So what's coming in the next few weeks is nodes as a tool, and that's going to look like this. So here I have a tools agent, and I want my tools agent to get the 3 last articles from Hacker News about OpenAI and send a digest to my email, and then log that this email was sent to the Google Sheets. So if you would be doing this as a sub workflow, there will be a lot of potentially steps, but now you can solve it with 3 easy steps. So in tools, we now support like some of our nodes. One of them is Hacker News, Google Sheets, and Gmail. So let's add those right now. So I'll just put them here, just add them, and then we'll configure them. So first, we wanna get 3 last articles from Hacker News about OpenAI. And when we open this node, we see it supports multiple resource and operation combinations. So as a resource, we want to get all the articles, and we want to be able to specify the keyword to search for and the limit. So these parameters, we don't want to set them fixed, although we could and it would get executed, but we want them to get provided by LLM. So what's going to be available in the new in a few weeks is this new way to specify the dynamic parameter in nodes as a tool as an expression. So there's this new function called from AI. This function supports 4 arguments: key, description, type, and default value. The last 3 are optional, so in most cases you would be fine with just specifying the key. So let's say this is the amount of articles. And you see that you don't need to follow like the specific labels we already have. You can name it yourself. You could also provide whatever description you want, the amount of articles. But again, you don't need a description, so why? Let's copy this because we also want to specify a keyword. Keyword to search. Well, now we have this node set up, so we can close it. We said we want to send it an email and also log it to Google Sheets. So now let's send it as an email. I connect my Gmail. Let me just make sure that I'm connected. Okay. And we're going to send an email to, so again, let's do the from AI email address and save for the subject. That's it for this node. But for content, you see that we've added email type as HTML. So we could do HTML content to let it know from the key that it should be HTML, but we could also add a description, content of the message formatted as HTML. So now it has more context about what kind of argument it should pass to this tool. And finally, let's set up the Google Sheets node. Cool. I have this n8n logs that should be empty here. And it has two columns, key and payload. I'm gonna select that sheet, and I'm going to add, I wanna add append row. Now it mapped the available columns. So for this one, I'm gonna say from AI, email address. And here it could just be action that it done, or I don't know, summary or something. From AI summary. Cool. So now we have these 3 nodes configured, and and now we should be able to, let's check that. Yeah. Now let's execute it. So you could saw that first it fetched the Hacker News article, but then it did 2 actions at the same time. It sent a message and it appended stuff to Google Sheets, and that is because these are not dependent on each other. Like they could be done simultaneously. It seems like it worked. It told me that it did all this stuff. We can take a look at the logs view to see exactly the inputs and outputs of each tool. So for the Hacker News, you see that we got amount of articles and the search query. We got some Hacker News stuff that correspond to this. Then for the email, it sent it to my email. It added some subject. It formatted it as HTML. And finally, for Google Sheets, it added email address and summary. And then if you open the tool now, this expression is resolved, and you can also see it from here, the values to which they resolved. And then if I open my email, I should have this digest here. So there's more nodes as tool coming. We're going in the first batch. We're going to support these, but there's theoretically nothing stopping us from implementing this for more nodes. As once we have the basic structure for this, it should be pretty straightforward. And that's it. If you have any questions, please ask now. Yeah.
So how does pagination work inside of this? And does it do that automatically, or do you have to set it up in the node itself like you normally would?
For HTTP
Can you repeat the question first?
Oh yeah, how does the pagination work? So right now we're sending all the data to the LLM, but in some cases it might not be ideal. For example, here, Hacker News, you see there's a bunch of stuff that you don't really need to send to LLM. So the feature that is coming next for this is being able to specify, well, either include or exclude fields, or be able to specify like a cleaning up function to how to clean up the response before sending it to LLM. Something similar we have for the HTTP request tool, where we have this optimized response, and you can do stuff with that. But for pagination, I guess that would be mostly for HTTP requests, right?
Yeah, my thought would be like if I had a request that went to Gmail or to my very busy Google Calendar, that it would probably be over the Google single request limit. And if it could get a little bit more stuff from there and maybe store somewhere like it normally would, like in the memory. I don't know if that was built into this or if that's in mind.
No, that would be up to LLM to decide that, okay, I did not get all the results, and then ask user if he wants to fetch more results, and then we'll just pass different parameters.
I have one more question / request, which would be if this would be open to any type of community built tools, like if there was some type of community node building framework coming, like we have for regular nodes, that we could add our own nodes to be a node as a tool, because that seems like it is something that would really bring this to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. So this is the PR that where I'm working on this feature, and you can see that for actual node stuff, there's very little that you need to do to make your nodes supported. It's literally one toggle, usable as tool true, and that would add the support for the node.
Love to see it.
So you're saying this is supported out of the box, or?
Once this one is merged,
Sure.
yeah.
Got a question so for the AI agent, if you open up, for example, the Hacker News tool, what context is the AI agent getting? Like, does the AI agent know that this from AI statement is inside something called limit? Like, does it know limit?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So you see, if we open the regular Hacker News node, it looks almost the same, but without this description type. So for the tool, we have a description type. And description type, you could either let it set automatically, and that is for the cases where we have a resource and operations, because then we probably can say with a high amount of certainty that this is we are able to describe it based on these two fields. But you can also provide a manual description of what is this tool doing. And then it doesn't know explicitly about these fields. So it only knows about these two that you've defined using this from AI expression. So we're only going to send it you can fill out these two parameters, amount of articles and search query, and because the type is not specified, it's going to be a string. But you can also make it, I don't know, a number, date, JSON, whatever you want. But the LLM doesn't know about the full node type description.
Yeah. And as a quick follow-up, is it one action per node? Like, so if I want a Gmail, search and a Gmail send email, am I adding two Gmail nodes to the canvas to configure those? Or can it access all those?
Can you repeat it, please?
So let's say I want to have a Gmail, a delete email action and a send email action. Am I dragging on one node and setting that up for the delete action, and dragging on another one for the create?
You probably wouldn't have to, because these. Well, you would have to, because these are not expressions, so you can't define them based on the parameter that LLM would send. But if this would be an expression, you could theoretically let the LLM also pass those as expressions. But chances are that the fields that you want to populate would be different anyway. So it probably makes sense to have two separate tools.
The main reason I was asking as well is, I guess with the way it's designed right now, is it's very easy to not allow the LLM to delete things.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex.
Sure. Cool. Yeah.
How many API calls do you have in this flow for OpenAI?
So this was 3 API calls. We can see in the logs.
Okay.
The first one was just us giving it available tools and the user prompt. Then it told us that we need to call first the Hacker News. Then we executed the Hacker News node and sent it the response of that node. That's what's happening here. And then it decided that it needs to call 2 more tools. This one, the Gmail and Google Sheets. So we called it, provided with the response of both of these tools at the same time, so a single API call. And then it finally made the final, it gave us the final output that it's successfully done these things.
Okay. And a follow-up on the pagination thing. What happens if the response is bigger than your context window?
Yeah, right now it would throw an error. But there's going to be some ways to optimize the responses before you send it to the node.
And actually, one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you plan to support multiple agents to be used as tools, for example, or to?
Yeah, let me show you this thing. I mean, don't tell anyone that I show you, but. So this is how that would look like. I tried to play a bit with it yesterday, and it works. But it was actually performing worse than just connecting these tools, because then you need to be very specific about what each agent does, and you need to provide the description of each agent to the parent agent so that it knows what should it call it with, because then the agent is responding like, okay, you didn't provide me with this stuff, and then especially the smaller models, they're having a hard time figuring out what is the right stuff that I should provide to child agent, sort of, because it doesn't have that whole schema. Because to the child agent, it only has a prompt as a parameter, the parent agent, while the child agents, it has the parameters of all the tools. So in this case, it wasn't really worth it. I was just testing that it worked, and it did, but I'm sure there are scenarios where this could be extremely powerful. But that's not going to be available out of the box because there's some issue with how we do these connections. Even here you can see that there's still main connections, which shouldn't be there, but it's kind of hard to get off because we're using dynamic connectors, so that these are calculated via expressions, and overriding them based on this flag is slightly more tricky than just for the regular node. But it might come.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What you could do today as well, if you do want to experiment with multi-agentic stuff, is use the sub-workflow tool. You can have the agent living on a sub-workflow level. You just, by the time it goes back to the parent workflow, you're going to have like a standard response. So that's how you can have like, one example I had, I was using like called Opus to do some like validation checks. Opus is really, really expensive, so I was using that as a tool when my cheaper LLM decided to do it, and thus I was hitting Opus a lot less than like running it in like a serialized agent where Opus checks every run coming out. So that was one.
Yeah. Oh, and if you guys interested in running stuff locally, especially the AI, we've recently released this local AI, self-hosted AI starter kit on GitHub. It's essentially just a Docker file with all these services set up already for n8n that you can run, and you would get like a Quadrant or Llama running both on CPU, or if you have a GPU on GPU, and n8n, and all of it would be already configured for you. So that's available in our repo, self-hosted AI starter kit, just as a side note. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.